Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about the future of fitness here in Canada. We're digging into something called the Canadian Functional Fitness Federation. You might have heard of it as the CFFF. Their mission? It's pretty huge. They want to take what so many of us do in the gym every single day and turn it into an actual legit, nationally recognized sport. So yeah, let's get right into it.
So, here's what we're going to cover. We'll start by looking at the way things are now. Why do we even need something like this? Then we'll dive into what the CFFF is all about, their game plan for building this sport from the ground up, and how they're all about collaboration. And, of course, the big one, we'll break down what all this means for you, the athlete, the coach, the gym owner.
Okay, so to really get this, we first have to understand the problem they're trying to solve. I mean, functional fitness is exploding in Canada right now, right? Thousands of us are in gyms, we're competing, but it's kind of like the Wild West. It's all happening without any real unified system, No single organization holding it all together. And that really gets to the core of it. This is where so much of the confusion comes from. It all boils down to one simple question. What's the real difference between a brand and a sport? Yeah, this slide really nails it. So on one side, you've got a brand like CrossFit. And look, it's a fantastic training method, a super successful private company. But its goal at the end of the day is profit and brand growth. That makes sense. But then on the other side, you have functional fitness, the sport itself. Think of it like this huge umbrella that covers everything: CrossFit, high rocks, obstacle racing, you name it. And the goal of the sport isn't to grow a brand, it's to develop athletes. And that is where the CFFF comes in. Their job is to govern the sport, not any one company. So what's the big deal? What happens when you have private brands running the whole show instead of a proper nonprofit federation? Well, you run into some big problems. You get inconsistent standards from one competition to the next. There's no clear path for, say, a super talented kid to go from their local gym all the way to a world championship. And maybe the biggest one, you get shut out from government funding. All that money that helps other sports send their athletes around the world? Yeah, functional fitness doesn't see a dime of it. And this is exactly the gap the CFFF was created to fill. See, they're not trying to compete with anybody. They're here to build the foundation for everybody. It's a national mission, plain and simple. So the big picture goal here is for the CFFF to become the official national sport organization, the NSO for functional fitness. Just think about Hockey Canada for hockey or FIFA for soccer. It's the same idea. A nonprofit organization whose only job is to create the structure, find the funding, and build the legitimacy to grow the sport for everyone in the country. And I love this quote from Simon Damborg, the CFF president, because it just gets right to the heart of it. This isn't just about sending elite athletes to the world stage. It's about the grassroots. The dream is to see kids doing air squats in school, to make functional fitness a normal part of PE class right across Canada. I mean, how cool would that be? Okay, so to make a huge vision like that actually happen, you got to be focused. And the CFFF is absolutely laser focused on these 4 core goals. You can think of them like the 4 cornerstones of the entire structure they're trying to build. So you might be thinking, okay, that all sounds great, but how do you actually do it? How does that vision become a reality? Well, it's not just wishful thinking. They've got a really clear brick-by-brick blueprint. The whole strategy really rests on 4 key pillars, and they make a ton of sense when you lay them out. First, you got to unify the movement standards, right? Everyone needs to be playing by the same rules. Step 2, once you have rules, you need good refs, so you train technical officials. Then, with rules and officials in place, you can develop proper coaching pathways, certifications, and all that. And finally, all of that hard work comes together when you create legitimate national-level events. But that's the theory, right? What does this actually look like in the real world? Well, the story of the 2025 Nationals is a perfect example of what it means to be athlete first, especially when things get tough. So the original plan was to host nationals at the PNE Forum in Vancouver, a big, prestigious, and very expensive venue. We're talking $16,000. But as registrations came in, they realized it just wasn't going to cover the costs. So they had this really tough choice. Do they go ahead, host a flashy event, and maybe go into debt? Or do they pivot? Well, they made the hard call. They switched to a much more affordable venue, hybrid athletics, which only cost $4,000. They saved 12 grand, and that money was put back into the athlete experience instead of just paying for a fancy building. That's what being athlete first looks like.
And that whole story, that athlete-first mindset, it leads us to maybe the most critical part of the CFF's philosophy. This is not about competition, it's about collaboration. It's about uniting an entire community.
So instead of trying to do everything themselves, they're building this huge network of partners. They're working with the Professional Fitness Athletes Association, the Association of Fitness Judges, CrossFit Canada, the Provincial Federation in Quebec, even the high rocks and obstacle racing communities. The idea is to bring everyone to the table.
And listen, let's just bust the biggest myth out there right now. This quote is from Ollie Mansbridge at CrossFit International on a call with the CFFF. He said, "We don't perceive you as being a rival to CrossFit." That's straight from the horse's mouth. CrossFit gets it. They know the CFFF is here to build this sport, not compete with their brand. So instead of trying to take a piece of the pie, the CFFF is trying to make the pie bigger for everyone. They offer things like free or low-cost judge training to CrossFit affiliates for their local comps. They're working with the PFAA and AFJ to build a public database of movement standards so judging is consistent everywhere. They're learning with provinces like Quebec to create one clear path for athletes nationwide. It's really all about lifting the entire community up. Okay, so we've talked a lot about governance and standards and collaboration, all this big picture stuff. But what does it actually mean for you? The person hitting a WOD in the morning, or the coach writing the programming, or the affiliate owner paying the bills? Why should you care about any of this?
Well, this is the payoff. This is what it's all for. Getting that official NSO status, that unlocks everything. We're talking about government grants that could help pay for our top athletes to travel to Worlds. We're talking about safer competitions because you've got trained officials and crystal clear standards. It means a real, legitimate future for the sport we all love, from PE class all the way to the world stage. It means we finally have one strong, unified voice. But look, building that kind of legitimacy isn't free. It takes real resources. Just to give you one small example, for the International Federation to become compliant with the World Anti-Doping Agency, which is a massive step for the sport globally, it costs about $1,000 for each member country. It's not a huge number, but it just goes to show you that this is a grassroots community effort from the ground up.
And really, that's what this all comes down to. Supporting the CFFF isn't just about an organization, it's about building a future. A future where a Canadian athlete's success is defined only by their talent and their hard work, not by how much money they have in their bank account. It's about asking this one simple but really powerful question. What if Canada's top athletes never had to pay to represent their country again?